going to continue with the process of oogenesis, and over here we have understood in the previous video that why oogenesis is called as a discontinuous process, because in that the first part completes before the birth or till birth, and the rest of the development of the ova occurs in the puberty stage. Now coming to the oogenesis over here, we have divided this into three major stages. That is the fetal stage and the birth, at which the process stops and then continues only after the puberty. So when we talk of the oogenesis process in the case of female, it is divided into three phases. The phases over here are the multiplication phase. The second is the growth phase, and the third is the maturation phase, during which the complete development of the ova takes place. Now, over here is a picture which shows how the development of the ova takes place. Now, during the fetal stage, the oogonia, that is the cell, it divides. The primary follicle undergoes the process of multiplication. This multiplication is exclusively mitosis. As a result, the number of chromosomes are 46. There is no change in the number of chromosomes, and this phase over here is the multiplication phase. So this stage over here forms the multiplication phase because there is no change in the chromosome number, but it is only the increase in the size or increase in the number of the primary follicles. Now these primary follicles grow till the birth level, and meanwhile we have studied that also many of them undergo follicular atresia, due to which many of the primary follicles are degenerated. With whatever the number of follicles that fetus is born with, it is having the fixed number. There is no increase or there is no change in the number of primary follicles after the birth. Now here, after the primary oocyte, which we are calling it over here, there is no change in the chromosomal number. But at the same time, this enters into the first phase of meiotic 1 division. And this first meiotic division, at this stage it is not completed, but it is arrested, and this happens at prophase 1 diplotin stage. At this particular stage, the meiotic division stops and the further development will take on later. Now here you can see, out of the primary oocyte or the primary follicles which are formed, one of the follicle increases in size. This is due to the process of vitellogenesis. Over here, we will discuss about it later on. But over here, one of the primary follicle, let us try and understand how this primary follicle multiplies. Now, at the puberty, the primary follicle or the primary oocyte divides. That is, the entire process of the first meiotic division is going on, and this primary oocyte divides and divides unequally. That means the distribution of the cytoplasm is unequal. So over here, due to the unequal distribution of the cytoplasm by a process which is known as vitellogenesis, two bodies are formed. One is small in size and the other one is large in size. This primary oocyte will form due to unequal division of cytoplasm, first polar body which later on degenerates, and also will form the secondary oocyte. The secondary oocyte over here, due to the first meiotic division, the secondary oocyte, the number of chromosomes are reduced to 23. That means it will be having only 23 chromosome or one set of chromosomes. The development stops over here. The next stage, that is the development from the secondary oocyte to the ovum, will only take place after the entry of the sperm. So what is happening over here? This stage to this stage is triggered by the entry of sperm. If the fertilization is taking place, then the ova development will be taking place. Otherwise, the secondary oocyte will be the stage at which the primary follicle will develop into and will degenerate in the form of menstrual cycle if the fertilization of the entry of the sperm does not take place. The first polar body, it degenerates. The first polar body degenerates and the secondary oocyte on entering of or the entry of the sperm, it develops again unequally, forming the secondary polar body which also degenerates. Whereas this ovum, which is now having the maximum or the most of the cytoplasm, will fuse with the sperm to bring about the syngamy or fertilization. Now, this happens during the adult reproductive stage. So, here you can see that the process of oogenesis, that is the development of the oogonia to the ovum, is divided into three major phases. The multiplication phase takes place during the fetal stage up to birth, where the number of follicles simply keep on increasing due to mitotic division, and at the same time they are restoring the total number of chromosomes. At the birth, this one of the primary follicle will divide at puberty into two, but this stage is arrested. That means at first meiotic division taking place. Here it is the second meiotic division. Second meiotic division. And over here, this is equational. This is reductional over here because here the number of chromosomes have reduced from 46 to 23. The second meiotic division is equational over here, which maintains the number of chromosomes, but again unequal distribution of the cytoplasm will take place and the ova will restore the cytoplasm, whereas the second polar body which is being formed degenerates just as the first polar body. And this unequal distribution of the cytoplasm is due to the process of vitalogenesis. There is approximately an increase or the size of the cytoplasm as a result of the cytoplasm restoration by the secondary oocyte. There is approximately 200 times the increase in size. And it varies. In different kinds of organism, it varies depending upon whether the egg is laid or whether the young or the development of the embryo takes place within the body of the female. So, the vitalogenesis divides this cytoplasm into two. That is, the ova will restore most of the cytoplasm and forming the first and the second polar body, which are smaller in size, that degenerate, and the secondary oocyte develops into ovum, and it is triggered. This development or the development into ovum is triggered by the entry of the sperm. Otherwise, the secondary oocyte is the stage where the egg is shed during the menstrual cycle. In the next part of the video, we'll try and understand the structure of the Graafian follicle.